Hi, Miss Hawatme. Did I say it right?
Yeah, I should give you some sort of award for that. That's
Okay.
perfect.
Okay. How's things in are you on the
It's
east or on the west? I
I'm in
keep
LA,
Are you in LA, sunny LA?
and my last name is Jordanian.
Okay, I figured it's Middle Eastern.
Yeah. And you're in which city in South Africa?
So I'm on it's a city called Port Elizabeth down on the southern tip of Africa. Midway between Cape Town and Durban, if you know the geography layout of South Africa. A little small coastal city, kind of like a Detroit of South Africa.
Great. And why is your Instagram say in South Africa, not China? Or what?
I said I'm not made in China because everything is made in China, right?
Oh,
So I'm
I was expecting a Chinese person to come on that grew up in South Africa.
yes. Hopefully one day I'll turn into Chinese. Much love to my Asian family. So how's Scopio doing? And
It's good.
thanks for the work that you guys are doing, the importance of visual imagery and what it means, especially in these expanding times of social media, of representation, and that's really what made me gravitate towards, photography. Okay, so like you say, I'm Rushay Booysen, born and bred in South Africa, born during the apartheid times, not understanding the dynamics of apartheid and what it means, because I'm just a human.
Yeah.
And the politics of the day dictated that we box into racial categories. I grew up in South Africa as what we label a racial category called colored, which is people wedged between black and white, not really one of either. And that's really what made me gravitate towards photography because I wanted to tell, my community's story. I've been able to go a few places around the world. I was in LA about 4 years ago, 20, yeah, it will be 4 years ago, where I went to the mixed race conference in LA, showed some of the portraits that I took, within my community. And yeah, from there on, just gravitate towards image representation, what it means, and being part of like this world, but also the people I find around me. Like, how do I get there? Because images is so important as to how people view themselves or how they find themselves represented within a particular space. Like in South Africa, where there was no representation, beaches were whites only beaches, and we had to be on the side elsewhere, and being able to finally compete where you can say, hey, I see someone that looks like me. I see a Trevor Noah on TV and he kind of looks like me and he's from the same community that I'm from. So that's
That's
really
literally
what
the
made
funniest
me
person on
love.
the planet.
Okay.
Like I
We
literally
got some issues with him. We got some issues. He's become Americanized, but we won't hate him. We'll
he
give him
has
his
to,
space.
otherwise we won't understand him.
Yes. And sometimes it's about assimilation, and when we move, when we travel to different spaces, and I'm viewing immigrants that's coming into South Africa from other parts of the continent, how they are viewed and how there needs to be representation, because we have issues like xenophobia, we have issues of people being called names because they're foreigners, and that's really where tools like art becomes important, because we need representation of not just ourselves, but we need to be open towards acceptance of other people, and so the photography, so I'm involved in photography and music and arts all around. And that for me was the whole package as to me wanting to learn more about other people and not trying to build a wall, right? Because the whole world now is around building walls. We've got these digital spaces that enable us to converse more freely,
Right.
but there's other boundaries being set up elsewhere, you know? And so Rushay has really been about like the community, about talking about issues in the community, and using myself as a vehicle to kind of like redirect people to, hey, this is where I'm from. this is my community and this is what's happening in my space. And I believe there's so many people around the world that's been doing that.
And how do
And
you
that,
share that? Like, how do you break through that concept? Like so you acknowledge that there's an issue in representation. What's your next step to actually make a difference in that?
I think there will always be gatekeepers, right? And so the internet has been a powerful tool for me, particularly. Me and a friend over 20 years ago, we started one of the first African hip hop websites, and there was no representation in terms of like African hip hop on a global platform. So we really wanted to amplify voices from our community and say, hey, world, this is what we're doing. This is our voices. This is our accents. Come listen to us, and everyone that was open and keen to really participate and listen. And that has enabled so many doors to open. We had visiting artists from around the world coming, and we were kind of like the local gatekeepers that could enable them to interact with, locals. So now we all have Instagrams, we all have our website, our popular mediums. And so that's really, really powerful mediums, to formulate communities. But the danger about formulating communities is sometimes we end up living in bubbles, right? And it's always important to burst that bubble and just burst out of it. So for me, it's been it's been about traveling, about meeting new people, inviting new people, and taking my world to spaces that is not within this 360-degree circles where I find myself.
Well, how do you also share that? Like if you create a platform, a lot of people here, they have art, but it's difficult for them to share it. Have you found any interesting ways to distribute or to, again, break through certain things so that you can be in a different environment or at least showcase your art in a different environment?
I think I've kind of like gravitated towards like academia. And so I've been able through academia to enable networks around the world, whether
Yeah.
whether it's Stanford University inviting me over, such doors has opened. And obviously it is quite a journey to get yourself. I mean, I'm sure as the owner of a platform, the difficulty in really marketing and putting yourself out there, and it takes a lot of work, and it like to enable your brand and to make people comfortable and believe in your brand, you
Yeah.
really need to do something that's unique and make them want to come back to you, right? And so for me, it's really been about the enablement through academia, because I really wanted to challenge conventional academia as we know it, and say anyone can be an academic. You don't need to be at NYU or Wits University in South Africa. You need to be able to converse with anyone, and there should be no boundaries. And so it's really been for me about using my images in academic spaces, having conversations around it, and it's created a network. I've just got an invite from a friend in Brazil that wants to do a project. He's like, we really would like to, so the collaboration part for me is really because I was a early enabler of the internet, and that has opened a lot of doors. Now I find it's all about paid marketing. It's also not authentic a lot of times because we all want likes and followers, so for me, it's really been through academia, and conversing with people.
And are you teaching now? Is that?
No, not, I would say more community projects. And I mean, COVID has disabled that for a while, and Zoom is cool, but Zoom, we still need I feel humans still need each other, We need to sit in the same room and smell each other and be able to, just feel each other. Technology has its advantage, but only so far, Technology enables me to share my images, and somebody elsewhere in the world might find it through the hashtag or whatever. But, we still need to, in these spaces that we're in, we need to create more. And, that means we need to pray that COVID passes and enable us to once again, create and converse and be in the same spaces.
Is there something that you think speeds up, like in South Africa, for example, there was a lot of speeding up of people getting comfortable with one another that were separated for a long time. Now in the United States, there's a lot of fearing and a lot of othering. Is there anything that visuals can do, or some projects that people can be a part of to really like shake people to see like that humanity in one another? Because it's very polarized here, and it feels like a far cry.
So the twist is South Africa is also in that space where it's become polarized again, right? And so whether it's foreigners that is taking our jobs, so it's kind of like the same storyline. The foreigners are taking our jobs. The foreigners are creating crime in our country. We need to build larger borders. So the conversation is pretty much the same as we're seeing in the US, right? And I think it's up to people that understand that these boundaries, these divisional lines are not going to make our lives better, And so it's about this pool of people that that understand. So I've got an artist community that understands the role that they play. And so there's a lot of issues in South Africa, a lot of socioeconomic issues. The most unequal country in the world, whereby you can see visuals of Cape Town and you say Table Mountain and you're like in a first world country, and like 15 minutes ride away, you'll be in like a third world country. So to firstly being a photographer, it's hard because you can't just randomly walk with your camera in any space, so you have to plan, you have to plot, you have to, like me, I got a drone recently to enable me to not be close to people so that I can just do visual aerial shots, So there's a lot of challenges still, and I'm fortunate that I have an artist community. I've got a friend from New York that started an NGO out here. He's working with kids in the townships around arts, education. He's building this new center. I've helped him. I always volunteer, because I think it's important for us to understand our privileges and what is being enabled for us, and how we can in turn enable something for people that's less fortunate than ourselves. I think the stark reality is that the world is at a cutting edge, and we need to understand that I might be okay, but my neighbor not being okay is going to affect me, and I believe as artists, we need to understand our role within that landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a big part too in public spaces that are not getting used, or they're not getting utilized in order to show some of this, like socioeconomic, even simple things like graffiti, like just how all that I feel like is going away, and everything is becoming more like sterile wherever you go. So it's hard to see the, I guess, vision.
Yes. I mean, there's a friend of mine from Cape Town. She actually lives in the States right now, and she's a graffiti artist. Her name is Faith47, and she's highly revered across the world. I went to Minneapolis a couple of years ago, and they had an art piece of her. And so she's kind of like very artistic, but also her art is also very touches on issues like within like our society. So she would go to because when we also visualize art, it's oftentimes in very nice spaces, right? And so she would go to the townships where you get these shacks, and she'll do these amazing graffiti piece across these shacks, just giving a message of hope, to the community and to larger South Africa.
What would be like your dream project? My dream project.
Let me see. I have so many.
Maybe just your dream in general.
My dream. Okay, my dream is to travel the world and just photograph in different communities and learn about all these communities. I want to go to the Middle East. That's one of the places that I definitely want to go to. You know,
Yeah, let us know.
I've got a huge interest in communities and culture
Share
and
those stuff.
learning, you know. Yes, definitely, you know, just learn about people, you know. So yeah, and the book. I want to be in the book that you guys are putting out. Like the what publication?
Yeah, it's gonna be everywhere. It's gonna be sold for the next 5 to 10 years, maybe. Um,
Okay.
you know what? Like literally, I woke up last night in my sleep and I realized we don't have any images from like banks or
Okay.
some of these empty spaces, like
Hmm.
something that was like restaurants that were really packed that became
Sure,
empty,
sure.
or banks that were same that things that like are empty. A lot of our focus is on people, but then I
Yes,
realized,
yes.
wow, we don't have any focus on like the public spaces that have transformed
Mm,
and maybe
mm,
been abandoned. That's one idea I had. And then another one was about elderly people. Like we don't have enough diversity. Most of them are, we don't have like enough diverse elderly people, like, and how their lives changed. Um, and what else? I mean, do you have any ideas of something
let
that
me
if you
see.
can, like, what story do you feel like if you had one photo in that book, what would
Uh-huh.
it be?
I think one, if I would capture one in South Africa, it would be like we've got the new strain of COVID out, right? And everywhere in the world, we banning flights to and from South Africa. So
Yeah.
we kind of like in an apartheid silo again, this country on its own where nobody wants us, right? And when our social grants get paid, the lines like so this the social grants that so the government has offered people that don't normally get social grant, kind of like a special social grant for people that's not working. So we've got high unemployment rate and they get about $15, right, which is nothing.
A week or
uh no, for the month, right? And on these days when the people get paid, uh the lines. So it's kind of like when South Africa, when apartheid was over and black people could vote in South Africa, you had these long lines. And so now during COVID, you kind of like have these same lines and there's no space, the desperation of the people to, so you're either going to die of COVID or you're going to die of hunger. And it will be a really haunting image because it's like most people don't care about social distancing because they just want to get them. And it's really haunting. People COVID is scared. They're scared to die of hunger.
wow, that would be nice. I mean, that wouldn't be nice to capture, but that would be if you can
Mm-hmm.
capture the
Yeah, yeah,
line
that
and
will be a stock. Mm-hmm.
the
I'm definitely gonna try.
when you submit it, you submit the story as much details like that as you mentioned.
Sure.
If there's any other
Mm-hmm.
small nuances that you can also bring up, like anything specific in the photo or
Mm-hmm.
the location or any historical
Sure.
facts,
Mm-hmm.
include that in the story, because I think it's going to mainly be a photo and then the story next to it, and we'll have
Okay.
about, I
Okay.
think, 300 stories.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So
And
and
so
let me
tell
know when
me.
it's in, and I'll
Uh,
let my team know.
all right. All right. I just wanted to know. So will it be only like will editorial images be accepted or only commercial? And I still need to get my way around
Yeah.
understanding your release on your website. It's a bit complicated.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, if there's somebody in the photo, send them that link and have them fill out
Okay,
that form. Uh,
sure.
that's the release bit. And we're not sure yet about editorial and commercial. We're trying to
Hmm.
make it as a historical book, but we might have
Sure.
rules around it. So if you can
Hmm.
get ones that they're not recognized and then some
Okay,
that they are recognized, we'll
sure.
try to see what we can get away with.
Okay, okay, that's awesome. Maybe shoot cropped where you don't see faces, but just maybe people, a line of people standing.
Or I don't know. I mean, we have one artist for Black Lives Matter. He blacked out the eyes.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
or you can get the back of their back from the line
Hmm.
too.
Okay, gotcha. I got your rear views.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Try a bunch of stuff and we'll see what we can do with it.
Okay, okay, that's awesome.
That would be amazing to have you because it's this book is going to be again on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. It's going to be like a
Okay,
Humans of New York type of book. Uh,
sure.
and it's really exciting because they chose us for the whole uh, authenticity.
Project. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the authenticity of our and global community. So we're
Sure.
making sure that everyone is getting represented in the stories. So we have
Okay.
things from protests in Poland, um, all the way to the Lebanon explosion, all the way to Brazil, with people talking about how they're dealing with it. Yeah,
Awesome.
the photographer I'm talking about with the blacking out the eyes is Emery Barnes. He's a New York
Okay.
photographer. You can check it. He made it like look really artsy and it's black and white,
Sure.
but I'm sure there's other things we can do.
That's
Just
that's
make sure
awesome.
the quality is there. Like it has to be,
Sure.
yeah, which I'm sure you
On
will.
point. I gotcha.
And if you wanted to mention any organizations or whatever, we could do that too.
Oh, that's awesome because I'm working with a local, the one that I told you, Artworks for Youth, who's done some amazing work. I've helped him actually with some photos. So one of the projects was these kids in this township community. So most of the times the teachers are not present, the teachers are not pitching up. And so these kids are expected to write exams, and then there was no student, a teacher for like half of the year. And
Because of
these kids,
COVID or in general?
no, 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 this was before COVID. So it was just like general lackadaisical, no,
Wow.
And so we did a photo
Are they not
project
getting
where,
paid? Are the teachers
sorry?
are the
Yeah,
teachers
they're
not
getting
getting
paid.
paid?
They're getting paid. And so the project was I took a portrait of them, and each of them had a message to their teacher, and we posted it guerrilla style around the city center where
That's
we knew it
fun. I love
will
that.
yeah, yeah.
You public shame them.
Yes, we publicly shamed them, and a few days later we saw they pulled it was huge ass pictures. They pulled it all down.
Wow. Was that last year?
Yes, that was last year.
Okay, great. You should submit that too. If you have like multiple stories,
Mm-hmm.
submit a few of them so that you have a better chance.
Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you. I was literally on my bucket list to South Africa. We have actually some great photographers from South Africa, so
Okay, so you invited.
we should introduce you all together. I don't know if you've
Please,
seen
please.
any of their videos or podcasts, but there's a few I've interviewed.
Okay.
I think one of them's in Johannesburg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll look them up. They should be in the feed. But hopefully we can connect you guys together so you can do more projects also.
Thank you, and we'll be patiently waiting for your arrival.
I love it. I'm there. Just let me
All
get a
right.
shot. I need the COVID shot.
Okay,
The
okay.
vaccine. And
Yes,
then it's on.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Bye, you too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.